Here we go again, Algebra 1 students. This is going to be page 22. Hopefully another very short video so you can get right into your practice. This is an important skill in all of algebra. In the last video, we talked about these perfect squares. So we're going to use these perfect squares. So 25 is a perfect square. We know that that's going to be 5. However, let's break it down into a factor tree real quick. 25 can be broken down into 5 times 5. So under that square root, that 25 could be written as 5 squared. Well, we square root the square, those cancel, we get just 5. There's a little more complicated way of showing you, but that's it. So 50 we could break into a factor tree of 2 times 25, and then the 25 could be broken down into 5 times 5. So under my radical, we could say 2 times 5 times 5, which is the same thing as saying 2 times 5 squared. Well, what we're going to see down here is the multiplication property. So I could break this into pieces. The square root of 2 times the square root of 5 squared. Well, we know that's going to cancel, so we get the square root of 2 times 5. So that's what we're going to be doing as we simplify radicals. So here's that property. If we're multiplying a square under the square root, we can break it into two pieces. So this is square root of a and square root of b. Now this note's kind of important real quick. A and b both have to be greater than or equal to 0, right? We can't have the square root of 4. Type that into your calculator, it's going to say non-real solution. We haven't learned how to deal with that. We will learn that in Algebra 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to break these into perfect squares. So what you could do is use your calculator. We already know that 25 is going to be a part of this. That's a perfect square that we know from the last page. We can say that 25 times 2. So using our multiplication property, we'll say square root of 25 times 2. Well, using this property, we can break this up. Square root of 25 times square root of 2. The purpose of that is so that we can take this square root of 25 and get 5. 5 times the square root of 2. Done. Then we're going to use 40. Well, if we look back at our last page, we look at our perfect squares, we'll see that we can divide by 4, but that's the perfect square, because we would say square root of 4 is 2. Maybe there's something bigger. Could we divide that by 9? Could we divide it by 16? Could we divide it by 25? Maybe you don't know, but let's do 4. We're going to say 4 times 10. So what we got is the square root of 4 times 10. And we could break that into two pieces. Square root of 4 times square root of 10. Well, since 4 is a perfect square, we can simplify that to 2 square roots of 10. Done. We just need to divide out a perfect square so that we can simplify. Well, if I look at 75, maybe I don't see that 25 can be divided out of that. So let's go to our calculator. I have 75. I can start dividing by my perfect squares until I get one that works. So let's try our easiest one, 75 divided by 4. That doesn't work. 75 divided by 9. That was our second perfect square. That didn't work. 75 divided by 25 is our next one. 75 divided by 16, right? That's 4 squared. That didn't work. 75 divided by 25, that worked. So 25 times 3. So I can break that into 25 times 3 under my square root, which I can break using that property. Square root of 25 times square root of 3. That's that multiplication property I just showed you. And square root of 25 is 5. So 5 times the square root of 3. Okay, 225 is going to be a little harder. On my calculator, I'm just going to go down my list of perfect squares. So I'm going to divide it by 4. That didn't work. Divide it by 9. That worked. 225 was 9 times 25. So this equals the square root of 9 times 25, right? Using my multiplication property, I can split that up into square root of 9 times the square root of 25. Well, both of those are perfect squares. Square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 25 is 5. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. That one was a really nice simplification because we didn't have a radical under that still. Okay, so the gist of this is to divide out perfect squares. Okay, get lots of practice with this. Be sure to ask questions.